Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone that rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Those in this gospel broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. Titled, it's not going to be a long lesson. I got maybe 2 or 3 precepts that come to mind, which I'm sure there's several more. But sometimes, the mind doesn't function optimally being in these bodies. But, the point will be made. But let's kind of follow up to what the brother did earlier. The brother in the camp, Taziari, did a video earlier about brothers in smaller regions. And I kind of wanted to land back on that because it was some good points made in the video, some good edifying points, but also to interject and to build, to edify on top of what the brother was going into. Small camps pack huge blows, man. All right. And you have to understand that it's not about numbers. And we're going to get into that example with Gideon. And I think it was 22,000 men that the Lord only chose 300, so the brother was going into the smaller groups, the smaller camps, sometimes 1-man, 2-man camp. Sometimes brothers be out there for years by themselves, man, before they get any fruit. And it could be, it could seem lonesome. It can be, you can be like, damn, this is kind of pointless. I'm out here by myself. Who's with me? And a good example was when Elijah was basically stating, well, damn, am I the only one, Lord? Because remember, the prophets was getting persecuted. And, when Obadiah, I believe he hid him in caves by 50 men, by the prophets, because Jezebel, I believe she put a hit out on the men of the Lord. So a lot of the men of the Lord went into hiding. And then you have those men that were sporadically spread out throughout the region. Same thing here in Babylon. Now, while certain states like Chicago, LA, New York, granted will have bigger camps, Houston, Dallas, because of the demographic and, just the way that the city is set up, you have more of a Jake presence that's more receptive to hearing the word and, coming abroad. And the Lord, he's very strategic on what he do, because a city like Chicago, it makes sense for them to have 80-something brothers. But if you really think about it, Chicago is really a small camp. And I say that because for the simple fact, demographically, as far as from point A to point Z, Chicago has damn near 10 million people in it, man. And I'm talking about including surrounding suburbs as well. Okay, you got Dalton, Riverdale, Oakland, Oak Park. Hell, you got Skokie. You got Lombard. You got Calumet City, Calumet Park. You got what do you call that place? Fucking out in Harvey, Illinois, which that's a shithole right now, man. I remember it was a point in time that you couldn't even be a so-called black man driving through Harvey, Illinois, or they'll lock you up. But now it's nothing but a third world country. But I say that because you got so many people in that city and the surrounding suburbs, and you only got 60, 70 brothers in Chicago, and that's not counting the ones that fell out, because you got men that fall out of that camp often, man, and you don't hear about it. So smaller camps pack big blows, man. And hey, I'll big my camp up, for example, Kansas City. We're a slept on camp, and I'm gonna just be real with you. People sleep on GMS Kansas City, but you know what? I like it that way, because the Most High is gonna do a great work through this camp, and I got an exceptional amount of faith in that. He's gonna do a great work, because it's not about numbers. It's not about how appealing you are to people and how eloquent you may sound or look to the public. It's not about that, because we have a very strict policy in our camp, and what I think the most we've had in our camp at a time was maybe 7, maybe 8 brothers. It always alternate between like 5 and 7, predominantly at 6. And then, you had brothers that moved down here and then they had to go back to their home, or brothers that moved on, or some men left or got kicked out or whatever it may be. But even then, you still got certain men that's set up in different pockets of the city that's doing the same work we're doing for the most part. So, the Lord don't need a 100-man camp out here. And personally, I wouldn't recommend it because that's 100 different spirits, 100 different men you got to supervise. You got to understand this and that. And it can be a fucking headache dealing with that many men, especially with the type of tolerance. I have no tolerance policy, man. I don't like dealing with people in they bullshit if I don't have to. And that's just real talk. Even though it comes with dealing, that comes with this thing. But, you know, prime example, St. Louis, you know, I think they got like 7, 8 brothers. They probably got more, but St. Louis is more one of them demographics that, you know, there's a lot of Jakes down there too. And there's a lot of Jakes here in Kansas City too. But, you know, Kansas City is just one of them cities, like a hit or miss. You know, like every day is not the same day. Like you can go out on the weekend and you can have a phenomenal weekend, and then the next weekend you could go to the same place and it could be a total shit show, man. So it's like hit and miss with this city. But the Most High, to show what he did, and proves that it's all through the Spirit, because most of the brothers from this camp, including myself, is not from this city. So that should tell you something right there, that this is a very, very dry and finicky area, because the fact that the Lord had to raise up men that's not from this place to do the work, that shows you right there the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. And like I said, this camp, we packed a huge blow within the, you know, the Great Millstone community. Even though, you know, we're low key, which I prefer to be. We're not really talked about as much, and that's fine. You know, but people watch us and people support us, man. And people, they, you know, they big up the works that Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai has been doing through his men when the odds was against us. You know? So don't ever be discouraged being in a smaller camp. Hell, 2 men camp, 3 men camp, 4 men camp. Hey, pack huge blows, man. Okay, good example, GMS Columbus. Hey, for a long time, man, we didn't really know what was going on with that camp. But, you know, once things started to come to light and our brothers started to kind of tap in more as well, then, you know, we started to figure it out like, okay, cool beans. You know, and I want to, you know, through the Spirit, hope that them brothers come out here and fellowship with us one day. You know, because of one of the brothers that went to that camp. He used to be part of our camp maybe 2 years ago. Good brother, you know. But he had to travel a lot because of, you know, his occupation at the time. So, you know, he had to kind of travel throughout the interiors of Babylon. And, you know, the Spirit landed him here with us for about 1.5 years, maybe 2. You know, got his stripes here. And then he went out there to help them brothers build. And he's still pushing, you know, and that's a beautiful thing. So it's beautiful. And you're never alone. Okay, no matter what, because you got brothers you can reach out to throughout Babylon, throughout the world. Hell, I could pick up my phone right now and call a brother from Atlanta or from Miami or from LA. If I need to really talk to him and get a different taste of that spirit, I can easily pick up my phone and have a conversation with the brother. So it's accessible, as the scriptures say that we should speak to one another often. You know, so you should be on the phone with brothers at least once or twice a week, even if it's just a, hey, shalom, brother, how about you? How you doing, bro? It ain't got to be no 3-4 hour conversations, man. And then you got brothers that may have 3-4 hour conversations. But real quick to the point, this is the book of Mark 6, and I'm going to start at verses. Yep, let's go. Because you have to understand too, man, you know, us as men of the Lord, we don't have honor among our own people. That's just really what it is. But there's honor in what we do in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. You know? But going on, it says here. This matter of fact, let's start at verses 4. It says, and Yahweh Shai said it to them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. Okay? So, yeah, we have honor being prophets of the Lord, but among our own family, among our own people, hey, there's no honor among that. Like, prime example, I'm from Chicago. I lived there my whole life, born and raised there. It's what I know. But the last fucking 10 years or so, maybe, I want to say maybe like the last, shit, I've been here for a while. It's been more than 10 years. I'll downplay it because I don't like to admit I've been here that long. But the only reason why I'm still here is because I'm posted out here to do the work. Okay, nothing is bounding me to Kansas City at all. I can pack up and leave whenever the fuck I want to leave. But the Spirit of the Lord has me here because, you know, we have a work to do. You know, so the Lord like, look, I'm going to see you down there. I'm going to sit you down. I'm going to get you established and you're going to do what you got to do. Because if it didn't work out, I just would have went back home to Chicago. But the Most High has made it work out because he wants us out here. And I won't say need because the Lord don't need anybody. Hey, the Lord said he can raise up stones to do the work, but he wants us here for a reason. And I have a very positive feeling that we're here for the good reason, because why in the hell would the Lord bring us here just to watch us fail, especially for us not being here, unless the Lord just despises us. So I try not to think about that, man. But it says here, and he would do there no mighty work, save that he laid his hand upon a few sick folk and healed them. So we may be here just to condemn this place, just to heal a few people. Like the brother, Uriah, he always say, hey, the Lord is like, look, he just said, look, I told y'all so. Meaning that he sent the prophets here to say, look, I told y'all, I warned y'all. And that's just what it is. We can simply be here just to condemn this place. Because like I said, I have no ties here. I have no connections to people here. Maybe a few people, but, nobody that I've really grown up with or really gotten to know on a extra personal level. Though I've had relationships and met good people, but that's very far in between. So I feel like through the Spirit, our job is to come down here to teach the word and watch this place be destroyed. And that's just what it is. And it says, and he called unto him the 12 and began to send them forth 2 by 2. Because remember, it was 12, so he sent them out 2 at a piece. 2, 2, 2, 2. You divide it up. Same thing like when brothers have big camps, they 60, 70 camps, say 70-man camp. You ain't going to have 60 brothers on one corner. All right, you can, out of 70 men, you can get 10 camps. Salaki, you get 7 camps by 10 apiece. You would send, you send 10 men out a piece in 7s, and then you can have this brother post up on the west side, north side, south side, midtown, downtown, east side. Bam, 7 camps right there, spreading the word, and that's how you do that, and that's what Yahushua did, And it says here, and he called unto him the 12 and began to send them forth 2 by 2 and gave them power over unclean spirits. Okay, and commanded them that they should take nothing for their journey, save a staff only, no script, no bread, no money in their person. When I came down to Kansas City, man, the only thing I had was a tote of clothes and a vehicle. You know what I'm saying? My scriptures, and that's it. Everything else I left back at the crib, man. As I progressed, I started to build up. I need a few fucking break commercials, man. And as time progressed, the Lord has allowed me to replace things and to acquire things that was useful for the journey. And, the Most High, like, look, don't worry about money. You know what I'm saying? You'll find something and you'll be cool. Lord blessed me with a crib, and vehicle and a stable form of income to do what we got to do, because it costs money to do the truth, too. And he's giving me things that I need in my leisure time. And, hey, I'm content with that. I wouldn't change it for the world. As much as I hate this city, I wouldn't change it for the world, because it's taught me independence. It's taught me how to, grow and to be my own man as well. Because let's just say if I stayed in Chicago, it's easy to go unnoticed or to hide behind 60, 70 brothers, man. And I'm not that type of brother that, want to be drowned out. I'm the kind of brother, I want to go to the forefront and say, look, I'll volunteer. I'll do it. I like to volunteer. I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the Lord has blessed, brothers and myself with a particular outspoken talent to go to the forefront and to lead men. And I felt that's what my spirit is. And it's not about saying being boastful or anything like that, because, of course, we always take the low. And I prefer a brother to go before me, of course, because I'll play the background. It's all good. But the Most High, like, nah, you ain't playing the background. You're going to be out there in the forefront because you want to play the background. So Lord, like, get to the front of the line, man. And hey, it is what it is, And it reads, and it says, and commanded them that they should take nothing for their journey, save the staff only, no script, no bread, no money in their purse, but be shod with sandals and not put on 2 coats. And he said unto them, in what place soever ye enter into a house, there abide till ye depart from that place. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear you, when ye depart thence, shake off the dust under your feet for a testimony against them. And verily I say unto you, it should be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah in that day of judgment than for that city. And honestly speaking, Kansas City is not really receptive to the Israelites at all. All right. Yeah, they acknowledge our presence, but we just kind of like a stain on the wall, and we just kind of like, okay, who are y'all? And they keep pushing. Okay. Yeah, we deal. People dealt with us, and, we've had big debates and battles and all that other stuff. We've done all those things. But most of the time people just walk by, they say the little comments and they keep it pushing. So it tells us here, it would be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah than the city that you reside in. So this place is going to get a fiery judgment, man. And honestly speaking, it's deserving, because the inhabitants of this city, they're wicked. Okay, they're uninformed, or even if they are informed, they lackadaisical. Okay, this is like a zombie spell on these people, especially these Jakes, man. You know, and this is why I always tell brothers, I'm like, they doing themselves a disservice trying to build up a city that's already dead. You know, like Kansas City is not a small city, but it's not that. It's probably as big as Dallas. You know, it's not small by far, you know, but it's not the biggest city in the United States, put it to you that way. Like, it's easily overlooked. And the fact that they're trying to expand and grow this city, the people, they're not ready for it yet. Okay, these niggas are still stuck in 1975. They still wear one color, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's through, you know, but there's a big blow in small camps. So brothers, don't ever feel discouraged, or don't ever feel like you being part of a small camp means that you're not right, or, you know, that you're not important or anything like that, because the Lord has his eyes on the small sanctuaries. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. Get that Ezekiel 34. No, Ezekiel, I think it's Ezekiel 34. And no, it may be 15. I think it's Ezekiel 15. Let me double check real quick. I always get it mixed up. No, it's not 15, 16. 16. And let me do this. I haven't bought this out in a minute. Oops. Saint. That's why I fucking hate this shit, man. It's like it don't never pop up, even if you typing it in. Ezekiel 5 and 10, Ezekiel 5 and 12. No. No. I'm not spelling sanctuary right. That's the problem. My spelling has gotten a little bad over the years, man. It's all good, though. We're going to find it. Small. Bingo. Even if we got to go the long route, we going to go. The way it go, we going to get there. I think it's Ezekiel 15. It's not right. It's not popping up. Sometimes this fucking app is like it just don't do service. Like you can type it in, but CTU. Let's do this. Yeah. CTUAR. Let's try to spell it that way. Bingo. Oh, bingo. So it's Ezekiel 11 and 16. Okay, I was way off. I said 15. But anyway, this is the book of Ezekiel 11 and 16. And it says here, therefore say, thus says the Lord Yahweh, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. And, you know, coming into America, Babylon and camps are considered little sanctuaries, because that's the altar of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. That's the sanctuary of the Lord, man. It says a little sanctuary. So, I mean, small camps comes along with that. So ain't nothing wrong with having 5, 6, 7 brothers, 8 brothers, 10 brothers, 12 brothers, 5 brothers, 3 brothers, 2 brothers, 1 brother, you know, which ideally you would want to have somebody out there with you. But even then, you know, hey, the Lord, he does what he does strategically. Okay, you got some men out there that's still alone to this day, and they've been out there 10 years teaching the word, you know? So you can't really discriminate against smaller camps. All right, example, this is the book of Judges 7, and I'm going to start at verses 2. It says, the Lord said to Gideon, ye have too many warriors with you. It says, and if I let all of you fight the Midianites, the Israelites will boast to me that they saved themselves by their own strength, man. So a lot of times, man, having a big camp like Nate, they boast the numbers. They boast the numbers. Yeah, we got the biggest camp in Israel, 100-man camp, this. And that ain't about the man, because you can have 100 niggas in your camp. That ain't right, and the Most High can get rid of all of them, man. Okay, the apostles kicked out whole camps before, and they got stories going back to the old school when the Lord just he just did a whole sweep during the year 2000 thing, man. And those that wasn't around no more, hey, they back in the world. Okay, so the Lord don't need numbers, man. He can do the work with 2 brothers and do a great power. Okay, the scriptures say 5 of you should put 100 to flight. Roughly paraphrasing, and we can get that too. But it says, therefore, tell the people, whoever is timid or afraid may leave this mountain and go home. So 22,000 of them went home, leaving only 10,000 who were willing to fight. So that's a lot of men. But the Lord told Gideon, there are still too many. Bring them down to the spring, and I will test them to determine who will go with you and who will not. And Gideon took his warriors down to the water, and Yahweh told him, divide the men into 2 groups, and the one to put all those whose cup water in their hands and lap it up with their tongues like dogs. It said, because he wanted to know if men was going to be loyal. Okay. One thing about in the military, you have to pledge your allegiance to that oath or to that particular conglomerate. And it says in the other group, put all those who kneel down and drink with their mouths in a stream. And only 300 of the men drank from their hands. And all the others got down on their knees and drank with their mouths in the stream. And the Lord told Gideon, with these 300 men, I will rescue you and give you victory over the Midianites. Send all the others home. So basically what happened was the Lord tested him. He was like, okay, he did it. Because the whole point about it was to subtract numbers. They knew most people was going to go and drink out of the stream. But the other men, they just said, you know what, we're going to do it this way. And the Lord, okay, this is the number here. He took the other ones and he chose 300 men, which 300 men is a quite small, it's a smaller amount than 10,000 by far, you know. And it says here, so Gideon collected the provisions and rams, horns, but the other warriors, and sent them home. But he kept 300 men with him. And the Midianite camp was in the valley just below Gideon. All right. So that's the example right there. How about Shemi Hawashai don't need a lot of men to do what he got to do. OK, he don't. Leviticus 26. And I'm going to start at verses. Let's start at verses 26 and 5. It says, your threshing season will overlap with the grape harvest, and your grape harvest will overlap with the season of planting grain, and you will eat and fill your lives securely on your own land. And I will give you peace in the land, and you will be able to sleep with no cause for fear. It says, I will rid the land of wild animals and keep your enemies out of your land. But in fact, you will chase down your enemies and slaughter them with your swords. It says 5 of you should chase 100. Okay. And we got 5 brothers in the camp. I mean, technically, oh, you got 5 active brothers. I'll put it to you that way. 5 active men. And that's including myself. It says, and 100 of you will chase 10,000. And all of your enemies will fall beneath your sword. And I will look favorably upon you, making you fertile and multiplying your people. And I will fulfill my covenant with you, man. So there's a big advantage in being in smaller camps, as well as there are big advantages to being in bigger camps. There's pros and cons to both sides. Sometimes when you're in a smaller camp, you might not have access to the immediate resources you may need because, you know, there's only 5, 6 brothers. You know, same thing with bigger camps. The disadvantage of being in a bigger camp is that you have a lot of niggas among you, too, that ain't right and that go undetected, that can hide among the group. You see, so that's the downfall about being in a smaller camp, because your growth is not really expounded on as much because you can hide, you know. But anyway, quick lesson, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Lord's will, you were edified. To the next lesson. Shalom.